Hello there, welcome to this video. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Tracy. If this is your first time joining one of my videos, so glad you are here. I talk about a little bit of everything. We talk about Bible study, we talk about thrifting, home decor. I just like to take you guys with me through my everyday life and hopefully give you some insight, inspiration, and share some ideas. You can see I'm not really dressed up. I told you on these videos I'm going to be keeping it real. Today is a Bible study video. I have been working out in the yard and I'm just going to make my video. So, I don't think we always dress up when we do Bible study. I know I don't. A lot of times I do Bible study in the morning when I still have my pajamas on. So at least I don't have my pajamas on. We're going to be talking about Exodus chapters 18 through 20 in this video. And we're going to go ahead and get started with chapter 18. So if you've not had an opportunity to read through that chapter, I encourage you to do so. And I'm just going to share some of the things that I took away from the chapter and maybe give you a little new insight. So for chapter 18, Jethro visits Moses. So who in the world is Jethro? Let's see. At the first of the chapter, it says Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything God had done for Moses and his people, the Israelites. He heard especially how the Lord had rescued them from Egypt. So just to give you a little background, Moses had previously sent his wife and two sons to go stay with the father-in-law. And now they are going to come to the wilderness to visit Moses. When they arrive, Moses fills them in on everything that has been happening. And we've been reading about that up until this point. Jethro speaks with Moses and he gives him a little father-in-law-y advice. It says, the next day, I'm on verse 13, it says, the next day Moses took his seat to hear the people's disputes against each other. They waited before him from morning till evening. Remember, at this time, Moses is kind of serving as a community judge. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, what are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around you from morning till evening? Moses replied, because the people come to get me to get a ruling from God. The people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I'm the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decrees and give them his instructions. This is not good, Moses' father-in-law claimed. You're going to wear yourself out, and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice, and may God be with you. You should continue to be the people's representative before God, bringing their disputes to him. Let's see. Yes, you should. Teach them God's decrees and give them his instructions. Show them how to conduct their lives. But select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,000, 150, and 10. They should always be available to solve the people's common disputes, but have them bring their major cases to you. Let the leaders decide the smaller matters themselves. They will help carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if commands you to do so, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace. So actually, we kind of see our very first I guess you could say documented case of delegation. Documented case of delegation. Now, Moses heeded or listened to his father-in-law's advice and actually took took to heart the suggestions that he made. I want to share with you a footnote specifically about this. It tells us that Moses was spending so much time and energy hearing the Hebrews' complaints that he could not get to the important work. Jethro suggested he delegate most of his work to others and focus his efforts on jobs he could do. People in positions of responsibility sometimes feel they're the only ones who can do necessary tasks, but in actuality, others are often capable of handling part of the load. Delegation relieved Moses' stress and improved the quality of governance. It helped prepare the Israelites for the system of government that would later be set up in Canaan. Proper delegation can multiply your effectiveness while giving others a chance to grow. And that stepped on my toes. Have you ever thought about the fact that if you do not delegate certain responsibilities to others, you are being selfish? You are not giving them an opportunity to grow. You're not giving them an opportunity to grow. And just something on a personal level, something that I have learned is if you offer to help and people are unwilling to delegate, you might want to look more into that because, first of all, people should be open to help. And if they aren't, sometimes there can be negative reasons behind that. And something for us to think about ourselves. I know it's very hard for me to delegate. I am very conscientious about things I do, and it's hard for me to trust others. But this really stepped on my toes. In order for other people to grow, sometimes we are put in a position to delegate to them. So something to think about for chapter 18. So if you haven't had a chance to read through this chapter, I encourage you to do so. So we're taking a look at Exodus chapter 19, and the Lord reveals himself at Sinai in this particular chapter. So what is the significance of this location? One of my footnotes says that Mount Sinai is one of the most sacred locations in Israel's history. It's believed to be located in the south central Sinai Peninsula. This mountain is where Moses met God in a burning bush. We talked about that back in Exodus chapter 3. God made his covenant with Israel there, and Elijah heard God in a gentle whisper. And you can read that in 1 Kings 19, verses 8 through 12. Here God, we're talking about this chapter, gave his people the laws and guidelines for right living. Here they learned the potential blessings of obedience and the tragic consequences of disobedience. So this was a significant place. The first of the chapter says, exactly 2 months after the Israelites left Egypt, they arrived in the wilderness of Sinai. After breaking camp at Rephidim, they came to the wilderness of Sinai and set up camp there at the base of Mount Sinai. At this point, Moses climbs the mountain to appear before God. The Lord called to him from the mountain and said, give these instructions to the family of Jacob. Announce it to the descendants of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You know how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you will obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my own special treasure from among all the peoples on earth. For all the earth belongs to me, and you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. This is the message you must give to the people of Israel. So Moses at this point goes to the people and tells them everything God had just said. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will come to you in a thick cloud, Moses, so that the people themselves can hear me when I speak with you. Then they will always trust you. God tells Moses to get the people ready. He's going to be visiting, and he told Moses to actually mark off a boundary around the base of the mountain. Moses gave the people specific instructions for the Lord's arrival. So there were certain things that God had instructed Moses to do to prepare the people for this encounter with God. This was going to be a super powerful encounter, and there were many things that had to be done to prepare. Now, I want to share with you a footnote that says Moses was told, this is dealing with verse 11, it said, Moses was told to consecrate the people. This meant getting them physically and spiritually ready to meet God. The people were to set themselves apart from sin and even ordinary daily routines in order to dedicate themselves to God. The act of washing and preparing served to get their minds and hearts ready. When we meet God for worship, we should set aside the cares and preoccupations of everyday life. Use your time of physical preparation to get your mind ready to meet God. This footnote made me think about something I had never thought about before, and that is hopefully you attend a church. And I had never thought about, during my time of getting ready to go to church, preparing my heart for worship, And I think that's really important, and I'm going to start trying to implement that as I'm getting ready, listening to worship music or things that prepare my heart for worship, listening to worship music on the drive to church, because I really think that can help to enhance worship as a whole, is preparing our hearts and minds to encounter God. We know that right now in today's world, there is a lot of focus on the nation of Israel. And there's some arguments, there's some dispute about what is technically Israel. And I wanted to share with you something that deals with verse 5, which I read just a second ago. And I think it's really important. It says, why did God choose Israel as his nation? So first of all, God was honoring his promise to Abraham. And we see this in Genesis 12, chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. So I wanted to turn back there and just share those three verses with you. 12, 1 through 3, the Lord had said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. So that's that reference. God knew that no nation on earth was good enough to deserve to be called his people, his special treasure. He chose Israel not because of anything the people had done, but because of his love and mercy. And in spite of the wrong the nation had done and would do, why did he want to have a special nation on earth? To represent his way of life, to teach his word, and to be an agent of salvation to the world. All the nations of the earth would be blessed through Abraham's descendants. Gentiles and kings would come to the Lord through Israel, predicted Isaiah. Through the nation of Israel, the Messiah, God's chosen son, would be born. God chose one nation and put it through a rigorous training program so that one day it could be a channel for his blessings to the whole world. So just a good reference point if you are confused or struggling with what to think about Israel. All right. Let's see here if there's anything else I want to share about chapter 20 or chapter 19. I think that's it. So be sure, if you haven't already read through that chapter, to read through it And I encourage you, if you have footnotes in your Bible, to read those footnotes. I learned so much from the commentary and the footnotes in my Bible.
Cowboy, you think Bobby's in the tree? Let's go see. Bobby! There's Bobby. Hi, Bobby. He found his block. Bobby's been up exploring. He's been up exploring. I don't think I can see him anymore. I think he'd been in his little house napping, honestly. Anime! Amy! Do you think Bobby's in his tree? Hey, Mama, you think Bobby's in his tree? Let's go look for Bobby. I see Bobby's in his tree. See if he heard. Oh, I see Bobby. Oh, hey, Bobby. Hey, buddy. You spent the night in Dwight's outhouse last night, didn't you? You didn't come back to the porch. You spent the night in the outhouse. So Bobby is becoming more independent and always yawning. He had a good nap. He had a good nap. So I'm just very grateful that God blesses me with the opportunity to take care of these little babies and then see them thrive and do well in the wild. He's chewing on some wood right now. Hey, Bobby! He's enjoying this beautiful day. This beautiful day. Alright, he's been going up the tree. Hanky is loving life. And he's rolling. Oh, stretch, Hank. Stretch. 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 Hank was grateful for 70-degree weather, actually 79-degree weather. And sunshine. Yes, yes, yes. Tan that belly. Tan that belly. Yes. Yes. Hey, bird. Mikey. Are you being camera shy? He's a handsome boy.
Exodus chapter 20. This chapter is one of the most well-known chapters in the entire Bible because it is where the 10 Commandments are listed. It's where the 10 Commandments are listed. If you read through the chapter, what is the very first commandment? The very first commandment. It is, you must not have any other God but me. You must not have any other God but me. We have talked time and time again about how God is a jealous God. He does not want us to worship and follow other gods, other things. He needs to be our primary focus, and that is the very first commandment. And I don't think that's by accident. That shows the importance he places on that. The second commandment says, you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on earth or in the sea. Now, you can continue to read through the commandments. You're probably very familiar with most of them, but I wanted to emphasize the importance, especially of the first one, but also the second one, that shows us how God takes to heart us worshiping Him, us placing our trust and our focus in Him and nothing else on the earth. Now, why were these commandments necessary? Why did He give these commandments to the people? At the foot of Mount Sinai is where all of this was taking place. We talked earlier about the significance of that location. God showed His people the true function and beauty of His laws. The commandments were designed to lead Israel to a life of practical holiness. So these were to be guidelines that people could follow that were practical. God's giving them some basic instructions for leading a holy life. In them, people could see the nature of God and His plan for how they should live. The commands and guidelines were intended to direct the community to meet the needs of each individual in a loving and responsible manner. By Jesus' time, however, most people had come to look at the law the wrong way. They saw it as a means to prosperity in both this world and the next. And they thought that obeying every law was the way to earn God's protection from foreign invasion and natural disaster. They failed to see that keeping the law should be the means to fulfill God's ultimate law of love. So there again, these were set in place for people to follow, a practical list of guidelines for the people to follow. But as we see and as we continue to see today, people struggle to do that. Now, just to put all of this in perspective as to the time frame we are talking about, the Israelites, if you think about it, they had just come from Egypt. There were lots of gods and idols in Egypt, and because each god represented a different aspect of life, it was common for the people to be worshiping lots and lots of different gods. When God told his people to worship and believe in him, that wasn't so hard for them. He was just one more god to add to the list. That is again why he emphasizes, you must not have any other god but me. You must not have any other god but me. And let's think about this and how it applies to our world today. So today we can allow many things to become gods. They can be things as simple as relationships. Did you know that placing your child, your spouse, your parents above God is considered idolatry? It can be worshiping money. It can be worshiping different forms of pleasure. Anything that we see as superior to God is an idol. And I don't know about you guys, but that steps on my toes. I know that I'm guilty of not always putting my first trust in God. I should, and I do most of the time, but I fail. Now I think about ChatGPT. I have seen, and this is kind of troubling to me, but I have seen a lot of things talking about how people are kind of developing a relationship with ChatGPT, going to it for advice, going to it instead of God. Not to say that there's anything wrong with ChatGPT. It can be a very helpful tool, but our first resource should always be God. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this with someone that you feel like could benefit. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.